Welcome to Street Fighter 2010, the final fight. Into this update, we're gonna tackle the third planet of the game. And it's the only planet in the entire game which has a name, Planet Sanddune. And I have to say that they're really creative with the names of the planet. I mean, you could go with like Planet SR388 or Planet something, but no, you go with Planet Sanddune or Planet Mount of Grass and finally, Planet Cityscape. So the power-up that we collected a while back is the Flip Shield Capsule. Whenever you do a backflip, it allows you to damage enemies whenever you're doing it. And by the way, even when you don't have this item, doing a backflip will make you invincible. And in order to do a backflip into this game, you must not be moving, and as soon as you jump, you press the opposite direction than the one that you're staring at. Oh, and Planet 3 is where the game starts being really sadistic. You thought, okay, I fought this scorpion again, so what's the deal with this one level? But no, instead of fighting one scorpion, you have to fight 3 of them. And while you're fighting all of them, you also have to deal with all of these sand fishes that constantly attack you. At least they have a convenient pattern. They always spawn at opposite sides of you. So this one spawned to the left of me, the other one will be on the right. And it goes on forever like that. You can try to farm them in order to get power-ups, but it's really hard because the power-ups are not gonna stay on the sand. The hardest thing in this level is to deal with the 2 scorpions all at once. Once that you've killed one, at least the level becomes easy again. When all else fails, make sure that you use this backflip of yours. Meanwhile, Puke City is trying to make itself more fashionable for tourists because it includes power-ups that are suitable for you. Oh, and welcome to the one sign that shows you're in a planet which is influenced by Egypt. You fight animals that are wearing toilet paper. And I think that this one level really sets a record for being the least eventful level of the entire game. And these enemies right here, the rolling armadillos, are called Krustak. So yeah, these are deserving of a name, but hey, you know, the flying scorpions that we saw earlier, nah, they don't need any because everybody will refer to them as the flying scorpions from hell. So just avoid the jaws with the tentacles in them. What kind of enemies are there in this game anyway? What is the meaning of all of this? I really don't know, but in the meantime, this is what I meant by this level is uneventful. There is nothing happening in this one part of the level at all. Until you get to the boss, this level is a barren wasteland. Hey, what do you know? It's a desert! Alright, so this guy can be a huge pain in the ass, because these guys can be pretty tricky because they spawn all of these columns of fire everywhere. They're kinda hard to predict, and finally this guy keeps flying around in rather erratic patterns, so it can be pretty tricky to get the hang of him. But you probably know already that nothing in this game will be a cakewalk. So let's try again with less power attack because unfortunately we're not gonna be able to have further range than this. So the real trick with dealing with this guy, well, is to simply hang on the walls because his attack can only spawn on floors, so if you hang on the walls, he will be unable to touch you. But the thing is, whenever he'll fly around, then he'll be able to hit you. But as long as you keep hitting him, he won't be able to reach you at all because after taking a few hits, he usually will disappear. But with my crappy power attack, it's not gonna be possible to do much damage here, so it's gonna be a war of attrition. Yeah, all in all, this boss is pretty boring whenever you get the hang of him, but here we go, we can finally move on to another place. I don't really have a good feeling concerning this planet, more so considering that we're going back to Puke City! And yeah, these are called Deadeyes. They are both enemies and platforms that you can ride. You get 2 things for the price of 1. Alright, Kevin Stryker, make acquaintance with the Slang Mo. He may seem like a chump, but no, he's a hero who's going to devastate you with his army of worms. Essentially, the gimmick in this fight is that you can only hurt the boss whenever he surfaces from the sand like this. And there's always those worms in the place, and these are by far the most annoying enemies of the entire game. Because not only they're huge, but they take a lot of hits to kill, and finally they're really aggressive and they constantly hound you. All in all, they're really not fun to deal with. This is really what the backflip is meant for. But unfortunately I didn't really think about using it. To be fair, I really don't backflip a whole lot whenever I'm playing this game, so I never think about doing it. And yeah, whenever he spawns a worm like that while you're into the corner of the room, good luck avoiding anything. And yes, sometimes the backflip may end up backfiring against you, so be careful with the way that you use it. Don't forget that you can cling on this column, so sometimes it can be very convenient in avoiding either the worm or the Slang Mo. Also, you really have no choice but— oh, god damn it! Yeah, you have no choice but to kill the worms, but the thing is, sometimes this guy will spawn worms so fast that you won't be able to do much. But thankfully, he can only spawn one worm at a time. But— oh my god! I'm really starting to be annoyed by this guy, so I wish that he will die so that I could leave this repeat obstacle arena. Yeah, they reuse the same level than in level 1, but since that this level gives you a flip capsule shield, at least I'm gonna give it a pass, because at least it's an handy item to have around. Now Purple City becomes the one place of your nightmare, because this is where they apparently spawn enemies now. But at least, no matter what Puke City will do in order to reel me in, I will never succumb to its attraction. Because at least the purple dimension is far easier on the eyes. And yeah, I was trying to farm for some health just because I didn't want to lose my flip capsule so quickly, but at this point of the game, it's pretty much the one thing that you will be used to, losing all of your stuff all the time. Now, I both love and hate this level. First of all, I love this level because the music is awesome, and the bad news is, which makes me hate this level, is you need to fight an army of worms in order to be able to escape this level. And you know by now that the worms really are fun to fight. And these ones are even bigger than the ones that we faced in the previous level, so they're even more of an annoyance. Not to mention that this is also a level in which it's kinda hard to control yourself because you will constantly be sinking in the sand, and there's not a whole lot that you can do in order to control your fall. So essentially, it's pretty much just like a platform that will constantly lower, so essentially you just have to keep moving. You can reset where you are by climbing on the walls, but in overall, moving around in this level is not very intuitive. Those sand falls, are handy because they make you sink a whole lot faster, and therefore you will stay out of the way of the worms, and therefore you can ravage them, only to be eaten by another worm, of course. The worms never stop. Just like the torture. Which is fitting because this game sometimes can be a torture. A fun torture, but hey, it's a torture nonetheless. Yep. I definitely could have been a little bit more aggressive on this one. If I stayed on the left and decided to be a little bit more proactive, maybe I wouldn't have died. But yeah, fighting these worms sometime when you don't have your mind up to it, it's just so annoying because you never know how exactly they're going to attack. It can be pretty hard dealing with them, and just jumping over them can be a bitch. So I hope that you're seeing why I'm starting to hate this level now. Wait, I always hated this level. But once again, the music for the level is awesome, so at least it has that going for. In fact, the entire music for this game is pretty awesome in overall. Like I said previously, this is a pretty underrated game. There are a lot of aspects into this game that probably will have required a little bit more work, but all in all, it's a pretty good game. Okay, so back to this level. All in all, this is one level that you're probably gonna have to replay a lot of times, because not only the worms are really hard to deal with, but it's also really hard to get health pickups into this level, because the only enemies that will give you health are the flying fish that come out of the sand waterfall, but they don't stay around long enough for you to get any health out of them. All in all, you need a full health bar whenever you start this level, and finally, you will need at least a couple of hit points left for this one section, because you're probably gonna have to tank some damage in order to make it through, because dealing with this worm in such a tight hallway is a bitch, more so considering that you're assaulted by another worm right afterward. I don't think I've ever finished this level with more than one hit point left. And now, time to fight the king of this planet, the green squishy alien who wears a mother brain helmet. And once again, more worms! This is his mount, and obviously it had to be the most annoying one of the bunch, and yeah, he didn't even need the help of his worm in order to kill me here. This is usually what will happen the first time you will play this level, more so considering that you will generally have no health left whenever you'll start this level. And finally, the tricky part of this boss is that there are no power-ups in this stage whatsoever. But once again, the biggest threat here is the worm. Once that you've killed the worm, the rest of this fight in overall is pretty easy. It's nowhere near as daunting or as involving as the highball boss. In all honesty, it's kind of a disappointing end to this planet. Once again, this boss fight will pretty much be a battle of attrition, because you will have to jump through the waterfall. Why do I keep calling this a waterfall? But yeah, sandfall, whatever. Because all of those waves in the bottom of the screen make me think it's water. And yeah, that makes perfect sense. But the difficult part of this boss fight is that you have to time well your descent through the fall, because if you jump too much through the sandfall, that will make it so that whenever you'll be in position to attack the guy, it will just shoot his projectile at you, you will have to jump to avoid it, and you won't be able to attack him anymore. And with him dead and gone, it's time to go back to our favorite place, Exposition Land. What's wrong with me? I thought that I was able to use Hadoukens and Shoryuken, but instead I have the weirdest punch ever. Okay, so whenever you're hurt, you're inconvenienced. Okay, that was great to know. Coming up next, it's a bubble supernova and everybody's invited!